How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to be here. I'm glad you guys all made it here. And while I'm doing this, by way of additional update, I've spent 30 years working in large corporations, only to feel kind of frustrated and very focused on how and why I didn't get the job and what more did I need to do. And so I would work harder and strive to do more and more and more. And ultimately, I had the distinct pleasure of working with some of the largest corporations in the world. So I worked with Cisco, Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, Siemens Medical. So I'm used to navigating complex things, and I was on the business development strategy side of how do companies, Cisco's chocolate with Lockheed's peanut butter, or how do you insert Cisco technology into the Department of Veterans Affairs, which is an interesting topic now, right? So I was really blessed in a lot of ways to have access to a global market and global innovation and lots of really smart people. But I spent most of my life mentoring and coaching people, and when I turned 50, I got some health news, right? And you always hear these stories where somebody, when they get the news, whatever it is, they pause and they immediately start reevaluating their life. So I quit my job, I traveled the world, I slept in jungles, ridden elephants, I met the Dalai Lama, I jumped out of planes, because I didn't have work-life balance. I had a life where I worked, and then I did everything I could to manage the rest, by hanging on. So what I wanted to talk with you about is I'm what's called an ontological coach. And I work with a lot of women's organizations around the world, but a lot of the Fortune 100 organizations who want to promote more women to achieve their inclusion and diversity goals, and we try to figure out, well, why aren't they? And a lot of it creates a gap of what the corporations are doing and what the women's organizations are doing, and they're somewhat disconnected. And I go in and I realign that with them and help the women get out of their own way. There's a lot of stuff that we actually do to hold ourselves back. But we also work with the leaders to say, well, what knobs and levers do you need to adjust so as to create space for women? Because we're just a significant part of the economy, decision-making, right, politics. We are more than half of the, right now I think we're like 51% of the population of the United States. So we're somebody they need to understand and have at their leadership table. So I'm really thankful to be here. I wanted to share something that I noticed that the title of the presentation was Redefining Work-Life Balance, but it focused on career, love, money, and family. And the thing that immediately came to mind was, well, where is self? Like, where are you in the process? So we tend to look at things sometimes as in these compartments, like work is here and life is there. But what I want to submit as a shift for your way of thinking today is, you are one human being. We should not compartmentalize our life. So it really gets more to be around, yes, we have work. Yes, we have other things outside of work. But it's really, how do you live an integrated life? How do you have it all, but have it on your terms? How do you have it all without doing it all? So a lot of the things that we have created in our life come from our mind. So we spend most of our day thinking about what we have to do, right, in our mind. And for many women, and I don't know, men don't confess this as much, but for women, they're pretty open about they've got 20 things going on simultaneously in their head. It usually starts off as a negative thought, and then they spend a ton of time shifting into a positive thought. And then they're very focused on appearance, physical body, those kind of things. But if we are body, mind, and spirit, and in most religions, this is not a religious talk or anything like that, but in most religions, the only thing that goes on after our body goes away and our mind goes away is our spirit, right? So when I do a lot of leadership development, I start there. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? And most people can't even answer that question. They're so busy being human doings in the world, they have forgotten to be human beings. So when you think about your spirit, right, that's where our emotion, our joy, and our happiness come from. That's where connection actually occurs. So why aren't we paying attention to self? Why aren't we paying attention to being? So when I got sick, I got the news, it was preventative news, that I was precancerous. So for all the ladies in the room, make sure you're doing all your prevention exams religiously, because it will make a difference in your life. So I got the news and I was like, okay, well then who am I, right? I've given it all away. I'm depleted. I've been a suffering martyr for work. Poor me, woe is me, I'm depleted. And what I really got clear on is I had not checked in with my heart, soul, being, essence, spirit. Just hadn't. And my journey went from there. So the first thing I want you to think about is when you were thinking of this conference and you thought about work-life balance and you thought about where your life might be in balance, you don't have to say anything, but I just want you to take a moment to think about, where do you think that your life is not in balance? Are you experiencing it now? Are you feeling suffering, tired, fatigued, depleted, unhappy? And as you're thinking about that, I kind of want to share with you that you are completely perfect. I mean, life gets on us and things happen to us, and we learn to adapt to those life circumstances. We do. But I want everyone in this room to realize you are completely perfect, because the divine, whoever you relate to spiritually, they don't make mistakes. They just don't. Right? But life happens to us. Experiences happen to us, and we adapt to things as we go along. So to take it to the next level, when you think about that thing that I was just asking you to, does everybody have something in their mind where they feel like their life is out of balance? No, everybody's life is in balance? No? Your life's in balance? Excellent. So you don't have to do this exercise. But if you look at the way normally you would process that, you would probably get right into action around something, right? Like, this thing isn't working, right? Or this thing has me frustrated or angry, or it's not. I'm tired, depleted, whatever it might be. I'm angry at my boss. I'm too depleted. I'm taking care of the kids. I've got my man at home. I'm trying to do community work. And I'll just share for me. I was giving it all away, and I was a huge suffering martyr. Poor me, and I'm not getting acknowledged. I'm not getting loved. And when's anybody going to help me? But that was a lot of my head. So what I wanted to invite you to do with this slide here is that when you let your head run the show, it usually tells you lots of little dirty little lies. A lot of head trash shows up. But if you were to stop and close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths, and you can try it now if you like. Just close your eyes for a moment. Just take a few deep breaths. And then look at that thing that is frustrating you or causing you to feel a suffering martyr. Just say to yourself, what does my heart and soul have to say about that? When you sit with that for a moment or two, you usually get a different answer than what your head gives you. So I don't know, did anyone see a difference for themselves in how they might approach things when they're stressed, worried, frustrated, and they're overthinking it? Versus, what does my heart and soul have to say? What do I really want? What do I really need? Okay, so this is just, I know we're doing this in a short time span. These are I work with clients for months on these concepts, but we wanted to introduce them to you to know that just that simple tool, just that simple moment of creating a shift for yourself, can take you to a different place and help you get back into at least a centered place or a balanced place within. Because all the things we look about in work-life balance are external. Why? Most of the answers lie within you. right? What do you want? What do you need? What do you deserve in life? But for many of my clients, I use this particular slide to get them back focused on what their priorities are. Because we're so busy doing, that this actually helps you define what your life purpose is. So if you, like what you love to do, if you match that up with what the world needs, that becomes a mission. But if you can also get paid for it, right? What the world needs, and you can get paid for it, that becomes a vocation. If you're really good at it and you can get paid for it, it becomes a profession. But if you're really good at it and you love it, it's your passion. But when you look at the intersection of all these things, it really becomes your purpose. And life gets so much easier when you're living it from your purpose and you're living it on purpose. And one of the things, this little slide's about is, how do you define a life well lived? Steve Covey talks about you're standing over your grave and you're reading your epitaph. What does it say? And it normally doesn't say things about work. It doesn't. And I've seen many people over time, right, come and go, in and out of work. People pass away while they're on the job or not. And you look at, well, who shows up at the hospital? Who shows up at the graveside? Who stays over a period of time? It's not the coworkers. So the question is how are you living your life? Are you living it well? Are you living it to your epitaph? And if you don't know what your purpose is, or your passion, your mission, your vocation, your profession, you may find yourself doing things in the world, suffering and unhappy, because you didn't check in with you. And when you come from this place, trust me, everything gets a whole lot easier. Life gets easier because you're coming from this unique, innate talents within yourself. And you know what else? You were born unique. So why are we trying to be like everybody else? Why? So when you come from this place of who you are, and then you put spirit first, right? You live your life from your spirit, from your purpose. You bring your mind and your brilliance behind it, and then you engage your body. Wow, you're completely unstoppable. But right now, everybody lives it the other way. They're like mind, body, and sometimes they check in on their spirit, right? So flip it around, spirit, mind, body. And I want you to write this down when you think about being and creating the life you want. I want you to write down, I am the possibility of, and just put a blank. So if you could not fail in life, what would you create? And I do this intentionally because it becomes your true north. It becomes an anchor for you. What are you the possibility of? What are your innate talents, strengths, passions, vocation? What do you love? What does the world need? Right? Social entrepreneurs. What can you get paid for so you can earn a living? And what are you really good at? You become a possibility of something unique in the world. What is that? So write it down, put it on your bathroom mirror. You can live your life from that place, and everything gets to be a whole lot more fun. So I wanted to share with you that if you are living life to its fullest, it's not supposed to be balanced, because it means you're challenging yourself all the time. So there's one thing to try to control everything so it's all balanced, right? Control it all, don't make a mess. But when you are doing big things in the world and you're changing and you want more in life and you want to make a difference in the world, you want to be in the world, it's messy. You're messy and vulnerable all the time. So we know it's always changing. So let it go, right? Be in the world and be okay that it's not going to be balanced, because that usually means you're doing something new, you're trying new things. And that's what living is, right? There's a difference between having a career and having a life. So go out there and be messy, vulnerable, and enjoy life. Now, I'll share with you too. So I wrote a book called Why You Didn't Get the Job. It's a leadership development book for women. And it points to 10 common areas of things that they do that are kind of holding them back. And I wrote from a place of love and service to women, right? I can tell them things HR departments don't want people to say, men don't want to say, and even other women are like, I am not telling her that, right? They don't want to deal with the emotion. So in service to them, I share with them things that they can take a look at. And this is one of the things in the health and well-being section of the book, is right now, like this work-life balance concept that everyone's trying to do is, you're kind of last, right? You're the precarious tip of this point, right? You give to work the most, right, by and large. Spouses and children, even extended family and friends, usually come before you. Your, what I call playtime, right? People call it exercise. That seems icky, right? But playtime, fun, activity, investment, rest. We give it all away, and we're on this precarious position. Where really, what it should be is the other way. You need to put yourself first. Because when you're attending to all of your needs, guess what? Everyone wins. But you're like, wait a minute, where am I going to get more time? I'm already exhausted. And then you're saying I got to put myself first and squeeze this stuff in. I'm going to talk to you in a few minutes about how to do that. But work, obviously, right, we got to pay the bills, food, right, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, work would come next, spouse and children and extended family and friends. So just notice where you are in your life, where you might have your priorities a little upside down, right? And this can change. You can insert what works for you. But the most important part is we really need as women to put ourselves first, because oftentimes when we don't, we get depleted. We wind up getting sick. Everybody suffers, right, in that regard. So I created a little tool for you guys. And it's broken up into, it's a rating structure, and I'm going to show you how it looks in a second. And I'm going to give the link to Eric so he can post it on the website. But its categories are well-being, your financial, your relationships, your environment, your career, your emotions, recreational things, and being in service to others. And what you do is you rate yourself as you are today, right, on a scale of 1 to 10. Right? How content you are with your experience, your life in these areas. Okay? And what you'll see is something that looks like this. Now this is small, so I'm going to show you another slide. But I answered this. When I began my journey about my contentment, I answered this. And this is just a spider diagram. So this represents a 10. And this represents, I don't know, is that a 4? So you can see there's a lot of places, like very quickly visually, there's a lot of places in my life I was not feeling outstanding and excellent. Well, why was that? So from this place, and I'll show you, this is a bigger view of it. There's a lot of, I had a lot of guilt, right? I wasn't guilt-free. The places where I was doing well, in my romantic relationship, my home environment, and my relationship with family, so that showed where my propensity was to pull, right? But I had a lot of gaps in my personal happiness, my fulfillment, my integrated life. So I just went back and did it recently. So that's when I started, I guess, 2 years ago. So here's a bigger version of it. I have, since leaving corporate America, where I've let go of other people having responsibility for my life, my happiness. Because think about it, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I want to share, right? Corporations will, by design, are meant to get as much out of you as you can. If you're a commercial corporation, get as much of you out of you as you can for the least amount of money. So oftentimes we find ourselves working for people we don't like, who don't like us, they don't get it, and we're suffering all day. So since I left, my salary has significantly plummeted, right? But my happiness and well-being, my relationships are stronger, my emotions are better, my environment at home and work, everything has gotten better. Doesn't mean I'm not working, I'm probably working equally as many number of hours, but I can live an integrated life now. Because I get to define it. I get to set the priorities based on my purpose. I get to determine what my joy is. But if I'm constantly at the 60, 70-hour work week, it makes it really hard. So I will share with you in this process of moving from where I was to where I was going, and I need to be mindful of time, right? So I'm going to go through the next couple of slides a little quickly, but I did notice you have many presenters today who are going to cover similar topics. Okay, so I'll just share these quickly and then jump off. So fear is going to show up for you. Because whatever you have been doing your whole life that's been working or even not working, it's just what's automatic and comfortable for you. Even the bad stuff, it's still more comfortable. So when you start looking at other things you may need to do to go to the next level, you might find fear showing up. So here are a couple of the places when I work with leaders, I'm like, where are your fears? And I know men have these as well, but again, women will shout out like, yeah, I've got the I'm not enough one. I'm not smart enough, thin enough, pretty enough, right enough. I didn't do the job enough. We have a hard time, somebody's going to talk about having your voice being heard, right? Women have a hard time standing for their position. They're afraid of being judged, not being liked. So all these fears show up. And when we work with women about, people will say, be your authentic self, or be comfortable in your skin. Well, how do you do that? That's great, I would love that. Sign me up. I want that. Well, I go back to really is your authenticity comes from spirit. So the more you tend to apply your brain against things you're afraid of. So when I was at Cisco, I didn't realize this, but I would just over-prepare, I would over-study. I was the best of the best of the best. Guess what? In the end, I was applying my mind so much. I became serious and kind of direct, a little self-righteous, because I had worked so hard, I had all the answers. And I was too afraid that somebody was going to ask me a question in the room, so I hyper-prepared. I shoved everything into a presentation and delivered, right? But it didn't leave them great. I didn't come across as approachable or likable. I was serious, direct, a little self-righteous. So what fear was doing, it wasn't creating space for me just to be with everyone. I was anticipating questions, right? And I was not in that moment, but oftentimes as women, what we do is we're thinking about the past, right? Could have, would have, should have, didn't do that right. Oh, I had a typo in that. We're constantly in the negative looking backwards, which is over, and you can't do anything about it, right? So when you're looking backwards, you're predisposed for sadness and depression, right? When you're anticipating the future, which, back to the conversation, when I was in these presentations, I was presenting, but I was thinking about what questions they were going to ask. That creates anxiety and stress. It keeps you from being present right here, and that's what great leaders do. They're present. They may have had some tough things happening leading up to this, may have jarred a lot of their fears and worries, but they get present right here, right now. They can be with things, then they deal with other things on the other side. So I wanted to shift into a couple of the quick topics, and these are just, so from a relationship perspective, to love and family, I tend to look at, you are the source. If you think of yourself in the middle of your universe with rings and rings and layers of rings out to infinity, you're the center of your universe. So you are the source of what you create in your life. So why would you create anything that isn't extraordinary? Why would you create sadness or depression or anxiety, right? Why would we create relationships that aren't healthy? So part of it is when you look at this, and again, this is a lot of, it takes a lot of work, but I wanted to kind of reflect this back to you that from this place, you are completely empowered to create whatever you want in your life. So what do you want more of? Like, go do more of that. Go create more of that in your relationships with family. What do you want less of? And I have a really big family. So sometimes, they're really close on my rings, all the rings in infinity. They're like, oh yeah, you're close, everything's in the groove, everything's great. And then people get wacky, right? I'm like, oh, I love you, my brother, but I'm just going to set you out there. Just going to leave you out there for a little bit while you go through what you're going through. But always love, always caring and kind and compassionate. It's just you get to choose what comes in and out of your space. So if you're going to live an extraordinary life, then keep things close to you that are actually sourcing you. Right? So just take a look at your relationships. What are your relationships? How are they? Are they healthy? Are they making you happy? If not, are there things maybe you need to look at in your relationships? The other thing too is when we talk about, well, how do I find more time? I'm barely getting any rest. How am I going to find time to go to the gym? So this is one of the places where it's most confronting when I work with my clients, is we all have leaks. And when you start noticing where they are and you plug them up, guess what? There is no scarcity of time. There really isn't. There is an abundance of time. The question is, how are you spending it? So for example, you'll notice like my clothes are pretty boring, right? But you know what it does? I get up in the morning, it is a uniform. I'm bing, 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 I'm out of the house in 15 minutes. After the shower part, right? Shower, boom, out of the house, right? It's not fun, right? It's pretty much a uniform. But it gives me back time, or it gives me another half an hour of sleep. Social media, right? Let's be honest, how many of us are looking for that validation, connection, the like button? Did anybody comment? We're looking for affirmation and connection through social media. We're looking for external gratification and love through that. So, notice, where are your time leaks? There's a lot of them. Wait till you notice. How about television? What would you create in your life if you could get back the number of hours you had watching TV? And I'm not saying you should never watch TV, but what if you could do it maybe while you're on the treadmill or you're out, you know. I don't watch much TV, so I don't have any good examples. Because I got rid of it about 2 years ago. I maybe watched 3 hours of TV a week. Because I have too much life I want to live to give it to that. So notice that. What is depleting your energy every day? Now ladies, we're a communal group, so let's be honest with each other. When stuff goes sideways or goes wacky, what do? We call somebody and we vent about it. And that's okay for a little bit. But if you then call a second person and a third person, and it becomes, not only is it a time leak, it's an energy leak. That time and energy, right? Just bless and release the thing out to further one of those rings of the universe I told you, right? Keep good stuff near you. And if one of your friends calls and she's like, let me, tell you what happened, you can love and support a friend, but don't stay in the drama that long, right? Just be there for them, ask them what they need, and move on. Like, what do you need? Because if you get enrolled into the conversation and it just amplifies, and then there's more and more issues, and then you get into emotional leak. So most of us go home at the end of a workday completely exhausted because we've been distracted, we haven't managed our time well, we didn't prioritize the things in our life based on our purpose, we just, got drug around all day from emotional things, drama, stories, okay? So really pay attention, and you'll be surprised how much time you get back. You'll either get more sleep, or you can add probably a whole new hobby into your life. So, okay, so you're at choice. That's every minute of every day, you're at choice. You can choose the old way of doing it just automatically, or you can choose a new way and try something new on. So looking for time, energy, and emotion, choose a new way of being about that. But these are your resources, and you need to protect them. Right? Very precious resources. And if you do anything, if you're in business or you're in sales, take a look at what your hourly rate is. That's a real interesting thing. So if you have a goal of how much you want to make in a year, or how much you do make, first engineer what an hour's worth, and then see how much you're actually losing money or time for your goals. So from a career perspective, I do a whole separate workshop just on career planning, but what I like people to think about is you get to design it based on your terms and what you want in the world. You have to go cultivate it and incubate it, and then you have to get into action to secure it. Now, if you have your own business, it's a similar concept, right? Design it, cultivate it, go get the projects or the clients. But if you don't have a plan, it's really hard, right? You'll kind of get thrown around to and fro. But make sure it ties back to your purpose or your innate talents. Because if it's just more of what you've done in the past, it doesn't mean you're going to ignite your actual potential and get the velocity you want in your life, having that integrated life, because it'll take you out of balance when it's something not aligned with who you are. Just a lot of women's organizations, I find that it breaks my heart because the books that are being written and the conferences are being held, it kind of creates a language that almost relates to women as broken. There's nothing wrong with women. They're perfect. But it's just a gap. Like, this is where you are and this is where you're going. And you can be a victim about it, like, oh, poor me, the glass ceiling, oh, poor me, men are just ruining my life, right? No. No, it's just where we are. But if you know where you gotta go, if you know where you're going, and they're the rules of the game, go play that game. You just have a gap to get from point A to point B. So know where your gaps are, right? And make sure you have a plan to address them, and then move beyond having mentors. Mentors are very good, but a sponsor will pick up a phone for you. So when you're looking for career advice, call all the people you know, tell them what you love and what you want to create in the world. Like, hey, this is Diane, you know, I'm a leadership development and executive coach. I want to create the next generation of really leaders of heart. And the second step is, can you give me some advice? The moment they give you advice, they're attached to you. They will care. The third step is kind of, great, I appreciate it. Do you know of anyone that would need this? And fourth, would you give them a call or send them a resume? That's the difference. You know, that subtle difference of really knowing exactly what you want from your purpose, and you can tell another human being about that. People want to help. Then ask them to further advice, and then when they say, yeah, I'd be happy to help you, then you ask them for the sponsorship. I love this one, financial stability. So for women, we are better investors than men. But our challenge is that we start, you hear about the salary gap all the time, right? The challenge is what women do is they ask for what they think they need because they want to be fair. They're like, well, I don't know, it's just me and the 2 kids, and I don't know, what do I need? I need $50,000, $60,000, right? Whereas the studies show that for men, they look at what they deserve and what they want. So they're thinking of the car they're going to buy or the title, and so I leave you with this. So what that does is it starts women off right out of the gate, usually in a lower level, right? And then you get increments, right? Or you change careers. But then women go and have babies, so they jump out, right, a couple times, then come back in. So they're a little further behind. By the time you get to retirement, ladies, now you're completely dependent on your money for retirement. It's not like days that have gone by where it was like, I'm married and I get my husband's pension, or no, you have to. So think about your money as freedom and power, and it's peace. Protect it. So I love fashion. My daughter's in fashion in New York. I don't give my money to fashion. I don't. Because that money can then get to my dreams, right? I can take vacations. I can do other things in life. So it's just a choice. There is no right or wrong answer. But take a look at where are you spending your money? How many hours, thinking of time, how much time do you spend in the Starbucks line? I love Starbucks for their vision and mission and how they take care of their employees, so let me put that out there. But how much time do you spend standing in the Starbucks line? And then how much of your money do you give to them? They're all just leaks. And so if you look at financial stability, pay attention to your money. Look at your pay stub. Look at your credit cards. Do not avoid this. Find out where your money's going. And there's a ton of little leaks everywhere. These little managed services, $7.99 with Netflix, and this for my phone, and this for unlimited data usage. And you go look at your money. I probably extracted $50,000 out of my income just for stuff that because I wasn't focusing on it. I changed my insurance policies. I downsized my lifestyle. I sold my home. I'm living in a smaller space because money is a very powerful thing, and it gives you peace. So fall in love with your money, protect it, guard it, don't give it away so easy. Okay? Because you deserve it. You deserve money. There's not a scarcity of money out there either. Okay, so these are the 10 steps, and I'll just put them on screen. Prioritize your life and your purpose. Make sure you go out and play every single day. That may sound silly. Every executive I coach, I'm like, where did you play today? Where is your joy? And I'm not talking about external things. Where did you find your joy within yourself today? Because if you can't find your joy, don't expect anybody else to give it to you, right? They'll only let you down. They won't meet your expectation. So when I talk about joy, it's like sing, dance, go finger paint, go take care of somebody else. But play like you're 5. Because that's what we really want in the end. Kids go through every range of emotion, but they ultimately get back to, I want to be happy. Right? Crying, hungry, temper tantrum, happy. Always back to happy. How are we doing with that as adults? Are you getting back to happy every day? Are you going through those emotions quick? Probably not, right? So play. Play like you're 5. Make sure you're saying no as well. You can say no, but not without it meaning forever. So a lot of times people ask me to help them with something. I'm like, I would love to help you right now. My calendar is committed. Maybe we can talk in a few months, right? So you can say no, but not forever. We can always revisit this. But how many of you honestly have trouble saying no? You can say no from a place of love, kindness, and compassion. But you also do it in service of yourself. Right? Because if you don't have it to give and you're out of balance, you're not going to be happy doing it anyway. A lot of women don't like to ask for the support. They think of it as a weakness. Well, how can you achieve your dreams if you don't get loved and supported? So tell everybody, right? Get people to help you. You deserve it. You really do. Forgive everyone, especially yourself. Anything that's gone, anything that's happened in the past, no matter how bad it is. Let it go. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. Because anger is a poison you're drinking, expecting the other person to die. You're only hurting yourself. Let it go. Can't fix it, can't change it, can't control it. Let it go. Find peace with that, and you will have so much more of an integrated, rich life. Another thing is, don't judge people. Just let them be where they are on their journey, their crazy, wacky journey. Just like you don't want to be judged on who you are, right? Just let everybody be right where they are. Don't judge them. You don't know what their life was like. You don't know what their day's been like. Just let them be. Be love, kindness, and compassion to everyone. Leave everyone you meet feeling great. Especially customer service people. Those poor folks, don't yell at them. Right? But when you leave everybody great, what does Maya Angelou say? People may not remember your name, your title, what you did. They will always remember how you made them feel. So everywhere you go, touch people's hearts. Leave them great. Put yourself first. Make yourself your dreams, your health, and all your well-being. Put all that first. Because everybody wins then, right? You'll be a happier, balanced person. Make sure you're celebrating small things. Get acknowledged and acknowledge others who were involved. But acknowledge your small and your large accomplishments. But this is, I think, one of the most important ones. Just be love always, but especially for yourself. Love yourself exactly where you are, right? I was telling a couple of gals earlier, I'm like, yeah, I've got 15 pounds of happiness on me, right? Now I can sit here and fret over it and complain about every meal I'm going to eat. No, I want the cheesecake. You can't have the cheesecake. So that's not a lot of fun to be around, right? Like when I'm with my man, he's like, please stop talking about your calorie count, right? But I decided if you just fall in love with who you are right now, always, and I have a choice then. Do I lose the 15 pounds or not? But stop complaining and whining about it. If I'm going to keep it on, fall in love with it. Fall in love with the 15 pounds. Choose it. But if not, get into action to let it go. Okay. So, I know we probably went a little long there, but do you have any questions for me?